Okay, okay. No, you can close it. Hello, hello. Hello. How are you doing? Oh, when did I get that? Oh. Hello, hello. If you're popping in while we're getting ready. For Sex Tech Thursday. Where's the dang, the Jeep is out there rumbling. Oop, that's not who I needed. Here we go. This is the one I wanted. Is that the same person? It is. Okay, let's do this. Welcome, welcome. Oh, don't put it in the same place, girl. Thank you. Okay, so it was that one, which one, and it was this one. I did a little bit. I only did a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of background work to get us some good sex ed some good augmented resources. Hope you're having a great day. Get comfortable. Whatever you need to do. I will say some of the stuff I couldn't get to um, because, Oklahoma. And so I don't know where you all are, but in Oklahoma, they have made it where you have to like enter your ID to be able to get on to Pornhub, um, which is fine if, I get the premise of what they're trying to do. But also, I don't know where that information goes. Um, I'm not sure. So it's just made it really difficult to access some of the sites and some of the information. But virtual reality is why does this always say, let me change this because that's not where I want to be. Um, as the future unfolds and new stuff comes into light, there's going to be lots of new things that are also going to be happening in the sexual world. And if we're being honest, a lot of the things that do happen in technology and in innovation, many of those things have to do with the efficiency of sex and how it can aid sex and the different things that it could do to ensure that, uh, the ruling class doesn't get left behind when it comes to sex, right? So there have sexual technology has existed for as long as time. They have found um, dildos in caves made of stone. So it has always been, they have found um, straps. They have found all kinds of things, fake pubic hair, many different things that people have invented for a purpose. And usually that purpose has something to do with increasing sexual pleasure or sexual arousal or sexual appearance or anything like that. So it is not uncommon for technology to slide into the sexual realm as well. So on Thursdays, we will be diving into some of the newer technologies with sex. What's hot right now? What are they building? What are they thinking about? Just the stuff that's going on. Because we need to be nosy. We need to know. We need to know what the people are out there doing. And a lot of times with sex tech, it gets left behind because it's usually on the hush hush again. People don't readily discuss sexuality and sex. And so a lot of times those conversations get left behind, and they a lot of things happen in the background with advancements in sex. For example, one of the biggest examples would be the invention of PrEP and PEP. So PrEP is I could do this. Pre exposure prophylaxis, and PEP is post exposure prophylaxis. And both of those are medicines that have come to fruition through science that are able to stop people from getting HIV and essentially succumbing to AIDS. Now, when I was younger, that was getting HIV was pretty much a death sentence, if we have to be candid. It was a lot of fear tactics. There was a lot of othering. There was a lot of disgrace and disdain and shame placed upon people who contracted HIV, even though it's a sexually transmitted disease, which means everybody who has sex can get it. But in since everybody is having sex, I don't understand how our brains work with the way that we apply shame. I'm not really understanding the process here, because that's something that everybody does, and I don't know. So, but there were huge advancements in the study of HIV, the study of AIDS, of how to fight its spread, how to treat its symptoms. Until now, we're at the point where you can literally have an encounter where you think you may have contracted AIDS, and if you're in a certain time frame, you can go in and you can get a prescription, and that prescription will stop that virus from being able to take over in the body, right? So that's something that kind of quietly happened, versus the huge outroar that came with the HIV/AIDS epidemic, right? They just quietly created these things that, completely took away the need to die from contracting this specific virus, right? But there's still, again, a lot of shame wrapped around it. So even though the PrEP has existed for years at this point, I think it was like 1987 or 89 or something like that when they first started. But at this point, it is perfected, it is good, it's ready to go, and people are still unaware that it exists, right? So sexual technology is important because it keeps us on top of what's going on. And when you think of sex tech, you're not just thinking of like robots and things like that. We're thinking about how science is moving and technology is moving forward and progressing how we address sexuality, how we help sexuality along, how we feed sexuality, how we cure sexuality, like all these different things, how we address and, navigate this space. And so it's important to know what's going on in the community. It's important to know, what's happening, right? It's good to know. So that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday. Specifically, that's what we're going to be doing today, because today is Thursday. Let me look at my elbow. Oh, it's not that bad. I have to go. I have to get a mammogram today, so I don't have deodorant on. So I'm like super self-conscious about my underarms, even though like I don't wear deodorant regularly. Like I do if I know I'm going out, I will put some deodorant on. But like when I'm at the house, I don't really need musty like that. So now I do have my days, okay? I do have my days. Ever since I got married, I started smelling like my husband. I don't know. I guess it's just one of the things that happened. I didn't used to be. This didn't used to be my life, but it is now. So, but now I'm worried because I'm like nervous. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna be musty, and it's gonna, they're gonna talk about me. I mean, what are they gonna? Maybe I'm not that worried because I don't care about them talking about me. You at work, so whatever makes you feel good. Okay. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't check to make sure that I was working everywhere. I think that I am. Let's see. Yes. Okay, that looks good. Do I have the chat for that? Yes, I do have the chat for that as well. Would you get out the way? Okay, thank you. If you have any questions as we're moving along, you are welcome to throw them in the chat, and I will get them as soon as I can. It doesn't move too fast, so I'm usually able to catch it. Okay. Let me take that out. I don't need that. I also don't need that. But I do need this live studio. Okay. Hey, Andy, I haven't seen you in forever. Did you dump me? Is that what happened? Did we break up? Did you quit me? Have I been quitted? I have not seen you. You haven't bought my friend bar or nothing. I didn't know we weren't friends no more. I mean, is it because I'm black? It's because I'm black. I knew it. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm not kidding about you not bringing my friend over. Because where's my friend? You told him he was coming back and he never got to come back. He didn't get to swing in the hammock and nothing. So, um, talking about sex tech, nobody reached out and told me that they have um that they've ever used or like been around VR sex. I want to know, like, I want someone's firsthand experience of, and I asked yesterday, but maybe you weren't here yesterday. But if you have firsthand experience in VR sex, I would love to hear how that went. Like, what did you enjoy about it? Like, I would love to I would love to visit that. If you want to send me a message, you could do that. Let me put my email in here because I definitely want to see it. Uh but I'm super interested. I'm gonna go. I'm thinking I'm gonna. So me and my husband were talking about. This is so random. So whatever. Um, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking too. Like, I would love. The comment says, "I haven't. It seems trippy. Blurred lines between fantasy and reality." Absolutely. And that's one of the things we're gonna talk about today because I was going through the research of it and looking at the pros and cons and stuff. And so we're gonna get into a little bit of the weeds of it today. But like, I'm actually disappointed that I haven't already done it. Like, I've been to uh two sex museums. Yes, I went to the one in New York and I went to the one in New York and I went to the one in Vegas. I have not been to the one in Miami. I have not been to the one in Europe, which is on my list. And I haven't been to the one, I believe there's one in, I believe there's a sex museum. Oh, I don't have to lie. Let's look it up. Um, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. There was a vibrator museum in San Francisco that I didn't get to go to. Um, okay. So it says the World Sex Museums by region. In the United States, there is the Museum of Sex in New York City. There is the Erotic Heritage Museum. There's a Sexuality Institute in San Antonio, which Sexology Institute. I haven't been there. And the World Erotic Art Museum in Miami Beach. Just so you know, that's one of the things, like, that's on my bucket list for the future, is to have my own erotic museum. It's gonna be so amazing. Okay. So those are the four in the United States, and then there's one in the Netherlands. That's what it was. The Netherlands, the Sex Museum in Netherlands, and then there's an erotic museum in Amsterdam. There's one in Germany. There's one in France. So there's lots. If you are anywhere in the world, it is important that you are supporting the arts. So get yourself to a sex museum for sure. The sex museums here are amazing. I loved the one in New York City. The first one I went to was the one in Vegas. The first time I went, it was so freaking hot. Like, I mean hot, like in the way that it was that hot. Like, I was like, y'all need a back room in here. So it was really, really hot. Like, if you get the chance, absolutely go to a sex museum. But when I went there, I didn't. Oh, so okay. So which one felt better to me? Oh, I can't say. Okay, but let me tell you what I liked about each one of them. Okay. So I love the New York one. I mean, I love the Las Vegas one because the Las Vegas one has a lot of like information, like political information. It has a lot of older, like some of the older sex toys. It has a lot, like, when I say political information, I mean it has like a scandal wall. I love that. Like, all the sex scandals for like politicians are on the wall. Love that. There's a lot of art. There's a lot of older art. Um, so it was a lot. It was a lot of information. Like, it's something that you might have to do like twice to be able to get, a couple times to be able to get everything. The New York Museum was more like a playground. Like, it was dope. So when you go in, they have like the first part of it is like they put you in this movie theater, and it's like a 4D movie theater, and they're talking about like the time that I went. I don't know if this is always what's on the menu there, but the time that I went, they talked about the World Fair and, you know, sexuality in the World Fair. And there were a lot of new things and talking about, but it was an interactive experience. And so like the screen moved and the chair moved and like water squirted out of places. Like it was a fun experience. Like it was like a big playground. Like there's a part in New York where you can, it's like, I think it's like 3 floors. It might be like 2 or 3 floors, but there's a big booty, like a big black and white butt. And there's a hole in the middle, and there's a slide for when you're at the top and you can slide down. I couldn't do it because of my knees. Like I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in there because I have like super terrible knees. So I couldn't get in, but I was so sad, but it was so fun. There's like a little machine. Yeah, I had to like, you have to finger it. It's a mermaid, and you have to finger it. And if you finger it real good, it'll give you a shot. And it has information, like it'll give you a little shot glass of this like CBD oil, and it has like information in there too. So it was more like a playground, but it was a super dope experience. I love them both. Like I can't wait to go to the one in Miami. They're both fun. They're both really good trips. I really hate that I missed the vibrator museum. Like, but it was just so rainy, and I was like, I'm not gonna do nothing. It was a little cold, like a little bit cold in San Francisco when we went. So, but I'm definitely going back so I can go. But any kind of, if you have, like, if you're in an area yesterday, one of the people that was on my live was from India. If you have areas in near you that are sex positive and have information about sexuality, let me know, because a lot of those museums are small. You don't just really see them. Like the vibrator museum didn't come up on the Chat GPT list, right? So there's a lot of like little places out there that I would love to love to visit. If you have one in your area, just let me know. If it's like a bondage museum, if it's a glass dildo museum, whatever kind it is, I'm interested. I want to know. So keep me in the loop, okay? Keep me in the loop for sure. So talking about sex tech, okay, let's get to our virtual augmented reality. Is this the one? Yes, okay. No, it didn't do nothing. Okay. Window capture, and no, not that one. Ah, here we go. Okay. Ooh, that is little. What is the reason for that? Why is that so small? I'm like, I've used this, okay. Okay, don't cut me out now. Give me a little bit of room. All right. Okay. Now, where is that window? Here it is. Let's start with Psychology Today. I like to use Psychology Today because it's a resource that a lot of people use. Now, I do not support. That's not what they do is not my business. So if you have any grievances with the company, hey, I'm with you. Okay. So I'm just letting you know, this is what a lot of people go off of when they talk about, if you were to go into a medical situation talking about, different kind of desires and wants and needs, this is one of the places they might use as a resource. Okay. So we're talking about virtual and augmented reality and sex today. So what is virtual reality, augmented reality? Virtual reality is going to be, the headset. It's going to be pretty much a simulated reality to in to encompass to kind of throw you and make you immersed in their world, right? And augmented reality is kind of the same, but augmented reality has puts information into like the world that you're already in. So whereas a virtual reality, it immerses you in their world, augmented reality kind of blends the two. So it kind of puts you in I don't know if you ever played Pokemon, but on Pokemon there's a little button, the AR button, and it puts your Pokemon into a picture of the world that you're in right now. And so that would be considered augmented reality, putting this into our world versus throwing you into their world. I hope I explained that good enough. But that's pretty much the difference. But they're both the same type of technology, just different ways to use it. So what are the reasons that people are developing this type of technology? So there are, of course, originally when it was made for gaming and movies and things like that. But of course, like I said, if sexuality has an option, it's gonna slide in there. And so you've seen this in some of the movies that we've seen. You've seen if you've ever seen like The Sixth Man, or which is an old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where they like clone him. I think there's a scene in that movie where there's a guy having sex with his virtual girlfriend on the couch. And so that movie was like 1980 something, or like 86, 87, something like that. So the idea of this is not new. We're not talking about a brand new concept. We're actually talking about a concept that has existed for a while. And, you know, as a sidebar, just to put this thought out into the world, I have always wondered, do movies make future tech, or does future tech influence movies? Okay. Case in point. Okay. So like also in those old movies, you saw people talking on a computer. They were doing a FaceTime, right? Way before FaceTime was invented. So it makes me wonder, like, when it's time to invent FaceTime, do they say, oh, there used to be a movie, or like how, or did the movie people know that in the future we were going to be talking face to face on the phone? Like how, anyway, that don't have nothing to do with what we're talking about, but still, I think it's a point. And it goes to show like how the future and tech have this relationship, and what we see has this relationship that it kind of pulls and tugs from to be able to create the kind of technology that you need. So one of the things this does is that it creates these intimate digital spaces, right? So and how that can be used for good and how it can be used for bad. So everything that we create has it has downsides, right? I saw an article when I was doing some research the other day that said they found microplastics in every single sperm cell that they studied. Everyone. So something that was supposed to be helpful for us has turned out to be harmful, right? And that's always going to be the conundrum of creating, right? Is this harmful or is this helpful? And being able to personalize intimate digital spaces gives people the opportunity to relieve some of that anxiousness that comes, and it also increases the options for long distance lovers and long distance relationships, where you do have some semblance of intimacy even though you are miles apart, right? And you get to see, you can touch, you can feel, and it feels real. Because the thing about your brain is that it doesn't necessarily care if what's happening is real or not. It cares about the input that it's receiving and how the body is reacting to it, right? So if you want it to be real, it would be real. But it gives the option for a lot of experiences to be branched out from more than just person to person interaction. And there are a lot of toys and things that are being made that give that have what they call emotional intelligence. So what that means is that the intelligence can dictate based on your body movements or, your different facial patterns, how it should react. So say if you're in a virtual reality environment and you feel you're not comfortable yet, right? So you're a little bit shy, you're a little bit laid back. The emotional intelligence built into the augmented or virtual reality can detect that, and it can change its behaviors to work with those cues that you're giving off. And that is a great tool. That is a great tool to be able to train, specifically to train about consent and to train to, a lot. I think that we have an idea of how sexual interactions take place that is not real, right? In the movies, a guy sends a drink over to a woman at a bar, and then he comes over and chats, and they hit it off, and she invites him back up to her hotel room and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, you could send that drink over to a person at the bar and they could tell you to fuck off and send that drink back. And so how do you, if you do not know how to navigate that space, that could be weird for you because you're like, this is not how it's supposed to go. And, a lot of people are learning from resources that are not meant to necessarily teach, right? They're meant to tell a story. So that could cause, adverse feelings. You could have rejection sensitivity. You can go over there and cause a scene, which is usually what happens when people are rejected, when they try one of these smooth moves they've seen. When they get rejected, it creates this emotional sense, and they, respond with whatever's happening in their body. And this would give them the opportunity to practice that without having to harm another person. You know what I mean? So, and that's a big thing, right? Because dating is hard. And I'm not going to say dating is easy for men, because it's not, but it's also not easy for the people that men are dating. And specifically because of violence, not because of, who you are or that you're a man or any of that. At the end of the day, when it boils down to it, people are afraid of you because of violence. Okay. And so some of that, a lot of the times there are people who are bred to quell their emotions, not realizing that anger is also an emotion, right? So being defensive and being angry and lashing out is also an emotion, and people don't necessarily have control of that emotion if they have not practiced with the other emotions. So that's where you're seeing a lot of the violence coming from, is when you're talking in the sense of dating and in the sense of people being scared, is because people don't know how to take rejection. They don't know how to move, and that a lot of the stuff and the ways that they're trying are not real. These are not, it's not a real situation. Like, I'm here at work. Like, I'm at the bar because I've been stressed out all day because these people have sent me down to this place, and it's my birthday weekend, and I got to be at work, and you want to be sexy, and I hate you. And so it doesn't even have to have anything to do with them, but that rejection feels personal. And so it is, with the onset of virtual reality, it creates a box that they can practice in without actually hurting anyone. And that's important. I know that having the conversation around why, they shouldn't be doing this, and why, you should just be better. And I think that's great. I agree. But what are we going to do? How do we help them be better? That's where this can come in. So using this to be able to help people practice, for people who are anxious in sexual behaviors, people who are moving past trauma and have difficulty in certain situations, because a sexual encounter requires two people. And if one of those people is dealing with issues and the other person is not aware, it can create an imbalance that, makes an experience not the best, right? And we want to make sure that when we're having sexual encounters, that those encounters are positive and that they are being enjoyed by both parties. Okay, everybody needs to be having fun, not just one person. So it just gives us a little box to help practice in, where you don't harm someone while you're trying shit out. Okay, so I love the idea of that, of using virtual reality for that, and making it more accessible as a learning tool. It also has the what they call haptic technology, and haptic technology is just technology that lets you feel. So on the phone you can feel it buzzing. That gives you that's what haptic technology is. So you have gloves, bodysuits, and even sex toys that can stimulate everything from a gentle caress to actual intercourse. So we're talking about, like, you putting on a headset or some tool, and then also having a haptic device, so a glove or a sex toy that is maybe a sleeve, right? So you are you put the device on, you put the device on your penis, you turn it on, and it reacts with what's going on in the virtual reality as the sex toy moves. Or if you have a vibrator that's attached to the VR, it can pulse with the pulsing on the virtual reality, all of that. And so, like, the idea of that sounds fantastic to me. Like, I love that. And even it growing into sensual touch, I know that, like, I feel like that would be so dope. Like, so dope to just be able to put this on, and put this tool on, or put this bodysuit on, or put these gloves on, and you would be able to feel the touches. And yeah, so we're getting pretty close. we're getting pretty close. And couple that with the fact that the orgasm actually happens in the mind, you can essentially have sex and reach orgasm with one person in the room, and without having to do any work, right? You just put your hands down, put them behind your head, put your VR glasses on, put it on, boop, you done. Or back up into it and let it do the thrusting, or whatever you need it to do. And you're getting this sensory exposure with the visual, because we talked yesterday about senses, and, well, not yesterday, it was actually Tuesday when we were talking about pleasure tools and talking about restraints, that being able to use as many of the senses as you can to help that arousal process is going to be what makes great sex, right? And what makes a great orgasm. And so if you were to put those, instead of just, because right now the toys exist, right? Sex toys already exist. But being able to add a visual aid to that is moving in sync with the toy is, I mean, we're talking about the big leagues now. The big leagues. So you definitely have that as a, I don't need you to be that big. Get back little. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Oh, so that was me the whole time. That's why I was small. My bad. I didn't know. Hey. Okay. So, of course, there are some concerns, right? There are concerns with, I don't know if y'all just heard my stomach growl. That was embarrassing. So what do we need to be concerned with? The ethics, privacy, and consent, of course. So privacy, how do we protect our most intimate data when our erotic experiences happen in digital spaces rather than in the privacy of our bedrooms? Who owns the recordings of a virtual sexual encounter or the biometric data from haptic devices? So that is super important and a super good question, because you know that information is going to be farmed. You know that they're going to be looking it up. They want to know what you're doing with it. And for research purposes, that'll be great. But we don't collect data for research purposes. We collect data to sell it. So there used to be a time when science was up and we were doing scientific shit. But now, everybody's a scientist and nobody knows how science works, and whatever exists is the way it exists now, and that's just how it is. So we have to make sure that those intimate experiences are as coddled and as delicate as we use and view sex in the real world, because we don't have discussions about sex. We don't have discussions about issues with sex. And to have that data just out there rummaging around and you're not even comfortable talking to anyone about it, that feels a little, iffy, right? I might have some big feelings about that, about my data just being out there, and like how I like to have sex and the kind of stuff that I'm into just on somebody's server. And then, watching the videos and all those things, like, what does that mean? So what happens when someone's likeness is used without permission in a virtual sex scenario? How do we ensure that all parties are truly consenting to digital interactions, right? And we're seeing a little bit of the backlash on that now, because people are using other people's likenesses to create virtual pornography that they're not a part of. They have not, they have not signed anything. They have not said, I'm cool with this, or given any permission for that to happen. But because it's possible, people are doing it. And so how do y'all feel about that? Like, what do you feel? Like, how would you feel if someone took your likeness? And you can be honest, like, if it wouldn't bother you, like, be honest. But if someone took your likeness and made a pornography from it and was monetizing that data, like, how just, think about that. How would that make you feel? Because first of all, I want to know how much you charging. Because if it's my data, baby, it's worth more than you think it is. It is worth more. And I don't know what numbers y'all are using, but my data, baby, we in the big leagues now. Okay. So listen, I need to know how much my stuff is going for. So it puts a price on you that, may not necessarily, you may not have consented to. That might not be something that you would allow to happen. Now, especially if somebody making money off of it. Now, look, if you hate me and you want to just make a picture and put my titties on and be like, look what this trifling wench did. Hey, you mad. I'm sorry. Okay. But if you're making money off of it, now wait just a minute. You're not going to be out here using my body. All of my money need to go to me. Yeah, I need my money. Run me. Exactly. I don't think so. Run me my coins. I want all of my money. Okay. You can make it because you mad and secretly drop it on the internet. But when people start monetizing it, now somebody's going to have to talk to my lawyer. Okay. You got to talk to my lawyer, and they black. So I'm just letting you know. You can have a problem if you want to, but no, I don't think, I do think we're crossing into an ethical issue when it comes to that. And again, because people can do it, they will. And I know that there was an issue in the Film Actors Guild, about using artists' likeness to create virtual content. And that they were not with that. I'm not with that. Like, I don't get paid for that. You don't just get to make a virtual me and then make money off the virtual me without paying me. So, we definitely have to talk about it. This is going to have to be a conversation. And then reality versus virtuality. As the line between digital and physical blurs, how do we navigate relationships that exist partly or entirely in virtual worlds? Can virtual infidelity feel as painful as the real thing? Okay, that's a good question. Okay. So say You are in a relationship and you and your partner have virtual sex because your partner is deployed, or they work, they're an NBA player or somewhere where you can't get them very often, but y'all have virtual stuff that y'all can have virtual sex, when y'all link up. Can you do that with other people? Would you feel like that was cheating if your partner was having virtual sex with other people? Would you think that was cheating? I'm gonna give y'all a minute because I gotta think about that. That's hmm. I guess yes. Okay, we got a yes. We have one yes. I think, I think it's a yes for me too. Yeah, it seemed like a thin line, but like, okay. So look, let me go back to full screen because if I'm gonna play, I don't like being devil's advocate because I don't be hanging out with that guy like that. But let's just talk about some different scenarios that, yeah. So that's how I would feel. Like it says that seems like a thin line, man, especially if you do that with me. So yeah, we getting into the weeds now. We're getting into the weeds now, and if your partner, I mean, because technically they're not using their body, but what if you are not very sexual? If you are not very sexual, but you don't want to, you are sexual sometimes, but you're not very sexual. So what if you bought that for your partner as a supplement to your desire discrepancies? Would that feel like cheating? I guess if you purchased it for, what if they purchased it for themselves? Okay. What if they purchased it for themselves? So you're not very sexually active. You're cool with, 1 or 2 times a month, but your partner is more of a weekly type of person. What if they bought a virtual reality headset for sexual interactions to supplement for the difference in the desire discrepancy? Would you consider that cheating? Ooh, it's getting good. It's getting good. So it does seem like it's a fine line. That's why conversations are so important. Uh, let's talk about that. Like, if we bring this in here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we doing. And I seen a show like that. He left her for the robot she bought for him. Girl, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Wow. Okay. I mean, well, shit. So hey. What do you even? What? All right. All right. Leaving is crazy because are you finna move all her parts and stuff too? Take her box that she came in. Make sure you pack up her extra outfits in her Barbie closet. Make sure you grab all of that, all of that too, because leaving is wild. Y'all are leaving together? Okay. I guess I did see this. I did see a short film at the short film festival here, and it was called "Are You a Robot?" and it was so bomb. It was, I think it won, and I seen a clip of it. No, I seen a clip of another one of the shorts from there, but essentially what happened was there was a lady, she was at work and her computer had locked up, and the little thing came up that said, "Are you a robot?" and she clicked it, and it said that she could not be verified. And so She was like, what do you mean I cannot be verified? And so she went through this whole process, and she called in the number, the tech number, and the guy went through questions, and he was like, do you remember anything before this date? Who's your childhood best friend? All this stuff. And she couldn't answer the questions, and he was like, have you ever considered you might be a robot? And it was like this whole big thing. Like it was a whole thing. It was amazing. If you ever get the opportunity to go to short films, I'm the big museum buff. I love museums. We're members of the museum here. I love it. I love the museum. So they have short films all the time. There's some really good stuff in there. So you should definitely go. But that was a really, really good one. It was called Are You a Robot? Oh, it was so good. But like, what if I'm a robot? Why would they give a robot ADHD? Y'all don't have nothing else to do. Y'all just making a robot spicy. I'm a spicy ADHD robot. you give a robot a touch of tism. I need to talk to the developers because I don't like my software if I am a robot. I need to wash dishes. I don't have no more drugs to drink out of. Okay, let's go back to our our virtual reality. Okay, let's make this larger. Girl, you ain't make it larger, so you can also see it. I want y'all to be able to read it too. Okay. So the future of intimacy. In the next decade, VR and AR could move from novelties to the new normal in how we connect, love, and have sex. These technologies promise to help us cultivate empathy by letting us literally see through another's eyes, enable creative sexual expression and new relationship structures, and make long-distance love feel truly close. But as we embrace these tools, we must also rethink trust, authenticity, and boundaries between digital and physical selves. The future of intimacy will be shaped not by just what technology can do, but how we choose to do it to embrace or detract from human connection. Mm. To enhance. What did I say? Embrace? Enhance. So there's always going to be questions about, are we doing too much? We're always doing too much. I think that's a part of science, is that a part of that is us just tinkering around and figuring out what stuff does and how we can make it better and how we can make it more sexy. And so this is another article about sex tech, and it says that we believe the future of metaverse sex will be a combination of virtual reality headsets combined with sex toys that can be linked using technology that already exists, such as Bluetooth, to help create a fully immersive experience. So, I wonder how much is it going to cost. How much does it cost right now? Let's see. I don't know what to look for, so let's look for that. Sex machines. Let's go to images. Ooh, no, let's go to shopping. Ooh, okay, trigger warning. I didn't mean to throw that on the screen for y'all. Sorry. What is this? Sensovox. Oh, let's go check that out. What is that? Because why are you in here? Oh, hold on. I think they had that's the website it's from. Ooh. Okay, what do? Use up to 4 accessories at one time. Will even power the largest of toys. Hardcore industrial look. Perfect fit for your dungeon aesthetic. Audio input, microphone input. Ooh. What else? eStem box. Stimulation patterns using music or use voice commands to control the rhythm, intensity, and duration of stimulation for a sexual. Ooh, okay. Is this the whole box? Right. I'm like, what is. Oh, is that not a link? It's acting like it is. Okay, that's the same thing. Um, I want to know what it can. Is it a video? Can you show me how to? I know it's not a video, but I would really like to see electrostim. I think these are just for the like sometimes people use these for sounding. Let me see what kind of tools are in there. That's like a bunch of different plugs. Okay, we'll have to look that up. I don't know what an electrostimulation. I know what electrostimulation is, but I didn't know it was a machine, or I have no idea how to use this. So we're gonna have to do some more research on that. We might have to add that to one of our SexTech dives. Ooh, what's this? Oh no, we're not talking about sex no more. So it looks like we still got a way to go, cause whoa. Oh, 10 sets. Oh, and I think that's like not a vibrator for sex. I think that's a vibrator for like science, like doing stuff with. Um let's do VR. Okay. Ooh. Golly. Do you see a price on that? But does it simulate sex? Or is it just for like video games and movies? I don't listen. I'm not trying to play Grand Theft Auto in virtual reality. I'm trying to take some prostitutes back to my shed. I did not say that. That's not what I said. Okay. Reality Walker Sports Simulator. Okay. I want to know, do they have programs already? Um okay, I don't want to shop for anything. I want to know. Hmm. I don't know. I guess it hasn't like gotten big enough to have a cuz I want to see like is it a program? Is it in the machine? Is it do you am I going to need a CD to like um it's easy to see Hall's prediction of a fully immersive. Oh, so it just hasn't we haven't gotten that far yet. Um Dang. So if you listen, if you looking for a place to slide in, if you do, you a tech guru and you like to do stuff, this would be a great place for you to jump in and get on some sex tech and be at the forefront of something to make some good sexual technology. It looks like it's wide open. So if you want to hop in there, you can hop in there. So let's look a bit. So let's talk about one of the cons, right? It says this is a paper that someone did on sexual assault in immersive virtual reality. Criminal law must keep up with technology. So it's not long, so I'll read it. I'm not gonna read all of it, but yeah, I might. Virtual reality. I know you can't see it on the little letters don't come up well. Virtual reality has seen a significant rise in popularity in recent years since the introduction of commercial VR headsets in 2016, such as Oculus Rift, PlayStation VR, and HTC, is it Vive? VR technology has continued to develop rapidly, blurring the boundary between the real world and the virtual world. Users strap on a headset that shuts them off from the real world and puts them in a virtual environment. Through the use of personalized avatars, users interact. Oh, I scrolled and I lost my place. Users interact with the virtual environment from a first person perspective. The goal of this immersive virtual experience is to trick users into thinking that their experience inside the headset is real. Nowadays, VR is utilized not only for gaming and entertainment, but also for a wide range of other purposes, such as education, healthcare, retail, and real estate, providing users with an enhanced remote experience. The adoption of VR technology has been spurred further during the COVID-19 pandemic to reduce physical interaction and maintain social distancing. Side note, You're going to see in the future that COVID had a huge impact on a lot of different sexual um, arenas. We talked about it the other day. We talked about toys and how during COVID, toy sales went up 600% in the first year. Sex toys went up 600% in the first year of COVID. So, or the first, I don't even know if it was a whole year, but COVID is going to have some long-standing effects on the future of sexuality. Unfortunately, sexual assault in the virtual world is not uncommon. Virtual sexual assault, according to Dr. John Danaher at the National University of Ireland Galway School of Law, is unwanted, forced, or non-consensual sexually explicit behavior performed by virtual characters to one another, acting through representations in a virtual environment. Anecdotal reports of virtual sexual assault are abundant. Ooh, okay. A few months ago, the New York Times reported that a woman named Chanel Siggins had been virtually groped and ejaculated on while playing her favorite shooter game. Wow. 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 Man, people need home training. Using the Oculus Quest. A beta tester of Meta's VR social platform Horizon Worlds also posted in the beta testing group on Facebook about how she was sexually harassed. Sexual harassment is no joke on the regular internet, but being in VR adds another layer that makes the event more intense. Not only was I groped last night, but there were other people there who supported this behavior, which made me feel isolated in the plaza. So, if the purpose of virtual reality is to immerse people into this world, then that, and it's supposed to feel real, right? That also means that the sexual assaults will feel real. They will, like, I can see how this gets to that. I can see how people would feel that way, but it absolutely does mean that those assaults in your mind are real assaults. Like, they are assault, they are sexual assaults, but they are real offenses to your body because of the way VR is manufactured and the way that it's made. So, yeah. Gosh, I didn't even gosh. The problem of virtual sexual assault has existed as long as virtual communities have existed. In October of 2016, only a few months after commercial VR became widely available, a female gamer of the pseudonym Jordan Bellemere described in detail on Medium how she had been virtually groped while playing an archery game, QVR, using HTC Vive. In between a wave of zombies and demons to shoot down, I was hanging out next to Big Bro 442. That's the screen name of another player. Waiting for our next attack. Suddenly, Big Bro 442's disembodied helmet faced me dead on. His floating hand approached my body, and he started to virtually rub my chest. Stop, I cried. Even when I turned away from him, he chased me around, making grabbing and pinching motions near my chest. Emboldened, he even shoved his hand toward my virtual crotch and began rubbing. Bellemere recounted. The virtual groping feels just as real, of course. You're not physically being touched, but it's still scary as hell. Absolutely. Like, creeps are, and even worse that, I'm not gonna say that because you don't know that. Like, anyone of any age could have been the perpetrator of that thing. But just to think of it being anyone, to think of it being a young kid, think of it being a mean girl, to think of it being a older man, to think of it being your grandpa or your dad or any of, like, it being anyone in a video game chasing someone and trying to, like, rub the video game crotch is weird. That's weird. Weird behavior. But it also shows how prevalent sexual assault is, that even in video games, when you're here for a specific reason, like, You're in a video game to, shoot zombies or whatever. But as soon as you see someone that you can sexually assault, you do. And that's like that is the part of society that we need to start picking apart. Like, what is it in your brain that makes you create opportunities like that? I don't know. In an interview with CNN, Bellamere said, "I've been groped in real life, once in a Starbucks in broad daylight. I know what it's like to happen in person. The shock and disgust I felt was not too far off from that." According to a survey of regular VR users conducted by behavioral researcher Jessica Outlaw in 2018, of 609 respondents, 36% of male and 49% of female users reported having experienced at least one instance of virtual sexual harassment, such as being groped, stalked, catcalled. Shoot, I did it again. Shown a lewd picture or hearing a sexually explicit comment. Under the current legal system, however, virtual sexual assault is not considered a crime as there is no real physical touching or contact. Since sexual offense laws vary from state to state in the United States, I examined the penal code of 3 states, namely California, Texas, and New York, in search of the criminal law that is most likely to be applicable to virtual sexual assault. According to the California Penal Code, under assault and battery, any person who touches an intimate part of another person, if the touching is against the will of the person touched and is for the specific purpose of sexual arousal, sexual gratification, or sexual abuse, is guilty of misdemeanor sexual battery. The Texas Penal Code contains a sexual offense called indecent assault. I think that's a good call. You should not be able to. Ooh, but okay, so let's talk about that, because gosh, like, it is such a slippery slope and such a thin line. Because I'm like, okay, well, you shouldn't be able to commit crimes in the video game, but some of those video games are all about committing crimes. You're about shooting people, robbing people, running people over, burning people's houses down, all that stuff. And so, man, this one's gonna be a rough one. It's one we're gonna have to figure out, though, but it's gonna be a rough one because, of course, sexual assault is gonna make it in games the same way violence made it in the games, in the same way rape made it in the games, in the same way, murder, and everything else. Like, I literally stopped playing Grand Theft Auto because it was like, go beat up this old lady. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want that to be the mission. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not interested in doing that. And so it was making me sick. Like, I would be so nauseous playing the game. I loved playing it, but a lot of that stuff is I don't know, it can run up against your senses, and many times that stuff runs up against my senses. I stopped playing Red Dead Redemption. I wanted that game so bad, and I talked my husband into buying it for me. But it was just a lot. It was a lot. Like, first of all, it took me forever to get everywhere. I don't have time to be riding no horse over 70,000 miles, just holding a stick up. It took me forever to get everywhere. And then secondly, it's just like, it's so much like hiding and shooting, and like, can I just build a city and like have a garden and like talk to the lady and have a store and trade and put out fires? And I don't want to do all that other stuff. So, but that's a place where people can go to do that stuff. Gaming is a place where you can go and be a murderer and no one cares because you didn't really actually murder anybody. So, man, I don't know, friend. I don't know. Okay. The New York Penal Code also contains sexual offense called forcible touching. A person is guilty of forcible touching when such person intentionally or for no legitimate purpose forcibly touches the sexual or other intimate parts of another person for the purpose of degrading or abusing such person or for the purpose of gratifying the actor's sexual desire. subjects another person to sexual contact for the purpose of gratifying the actor's sexual desire and with intent to degrade or abuse such other person while such other person is a passenger on a bus, train, or subway car operated by any transit agency, authority, or company, public or private, whose operation is authorized by New York State or any other political subdivisions. So that definitely helps with a lot of that um, train groping, bus groping, sexually assaulting or harassing someone on the public transit systems, because people rely on the public transit systems. I don't want to be here with you, have to be here with you, and you get to sexually harass or touch me. So I get that. So what does that look like if those spaces are turned into that for gamers? Like, if the threat of being sexually harassed or sexually abused is going to be a part of the gaming experience, who does that close gaming off for? Like, I don't want to play video games that feature that, and many people wouldn't want to do that. But again, patriarchy, I can put this on the list. We can add this one. That wants to have that space. The system wants to have that space for you to be able to do that. They want you to have that space to. Sexual assault is just a byproduct of the patriarchy anyway, because it very rarely happens the other way, right? It does happen. Men absolutely can be sexually assaulted, but it's usually same-sex assault, or women can assault men as well, sexually assault men as well. But when you look at the statistics of it, and let me do another little caveat, because men also don't report sexual assault the same way that women report it, and that also has to go with that underlying threat of violence. Men also don't report it as much, so it could be happening at a higher level than we have the numbers for, but I can't speculate on that data because I don't have it. So if you are a man and you are being sexually assaulted, please report it more often so that we can have a valid number point and data point to know what men are actually up against. But many of the sexual assaults occur the same way. It's men on women sexual assault. And it's proved, like, they were both, the gamer said they were both just standing there waiting for the next raid, and the male player turned around and just started to sexually assault her. But that wasn't a thought that she, as a female player, had to do that to him. So I don't know. I do know, again, that's the system that says that you should be able to do that, and that you should find ways to do that skirt the system, that skirt the legality, so you don't get in trouble for it. But I do believe that is a right that some people believe they have, is to be able to sexually harass and sexually assault people. And I remember this from a conversation that I had on Facebook years ago about men telling women to smile in public. Like, just men always saying, like, coming up and saying, smile, it can't be that bad, and all this great stuff. But they never say that to other men. Have you ever noticed that men? And so I was like, if you are a man, please stop telling people to smile. And then it turned into this big thing. And so I just asked everyone, so did you tell a man to smile today? Did you make sure that you made sure that a man? I even was like, hey, I need the gay boys to step up and start telling men to smile. And you know what? The straight men lit my comment section up. You shouldn't be trying to start violence between people and blah, blah, blah. And you just asking for people to get hurt and, whoop-de whoop-de whoop. Why? Because a man asked you to smile? So again, it's that underlying threat of violence that is used to sway these arguments. And so a woman telling a man to smile is not going to be that big of a deal, because that underlying threat of violence is not there. But a man who is perceived as uh, gay or bi or whoever telling a man to smile, now you see at that point everybody was able to see why this would not be okay. It was perfectly fine to, walk up to women and tell them to smile. But me suggesting that men should walk up to other men, that gay men should walk up to other men and tell them to smile, smile, darling, it can't be that bad. They didn't think that was funny. They didn't think it was appropriate. And so, and you feel free to go. You can go search on my Facebook to find that conversation. It did not, it did not go well. But it was just the understanding that you are doing something that somebody does not want you to do, but you still feel like you should have the right to do that. I determine how much you're being harmed by me telling you to smile, or I determine how much you're being harmed by me touching you in a video game. And so it's just the way that the system trains and teaches our men and our women, because women also uphold systems of the patriarchy, to accept sexual abuse as a part of life, as something that's going to happen, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So, and to try to find ways to skirt legally being responsible, to still be able to do the sexual abusing, but to not be responsible for it. And that's why it's showing up in virtual reality games and in those spaces, because it's a way for them to still be able to do it, but to not technically be responsible for it, because you're not a real person. I just touched the game avatar or the game person's boob. I didn't actually touch your boob. So, just in the future, I would, if I was a girl gamer. I don't play games like that. That's not my type of games. I don't even know if I've ever played. The only game I've ever played with like other people at the same time was Gauntlet. I don't want to play with y'all. I don't want to talk to y'all. I don't want to play with y'all. When I play games, I go for my peace. That's not where my friends are. My friends aren't, I can go to my friend's house anytime I want to. That's not what I use gaming for. So there are plenty of people who do. I'm not knocking that at all. That's just not what Coach Katasha, use gaming for. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be in no room with y'all. None of that. I just want to use my Dr. Wario, and move my little pills to clear my board. That's all I want to do. So, being able to have access to this technology. Okay, hold on. Let's read this though. Even though there's no real physical touch or contact involved, sexual assault experienced in VR can have real negative psychological consequences. At the 2016 Game Developers Conference, game designer Patrick Harris presented video footage of his ethically questionable experiment in which he sexually harassed a female player while playing a VR game. The female player who entered the game unsuspectingly exhibited palpable discomfort and expressed that it was a damaging experience. Harris concluded that harassment is way, way, way worse in VR. This is because VR provides a visceral experience of immersion that other media cannot. Due to this visceral feeling created by VR, virtual sexual assault can be highly traumatic for victims, as seen in Bellamir's experience. Bellamir wrote, "The public virtual chasing and groping happened a full week ago, and I'm still thinking about it. The beta tester who was sexually assaulted on Meta's Horizon Worlds also reported, even though my physical body was far removed from the event, my brain is tricked into thinking it's real because, virtual reality. We can't tout VR's realness and then lay claim that it's not a real assault." There we go. Okay. All right. You heard what she said. If we gonna act like it's real and we're using it as a real thing, so maybe that's what can separate gaming, I don't know, from virtual reality. No, I don't know if that's gonna hold up. As technology develops, VR will only feel more visceral, and in turn, virtual sexual assault will only feel more like real sexual assault. Furthermore, advancements in haptic technology, that is, technology that creates touch like sensations in VR, will make virtual sexual assault feel even more real and damaging to victims. Ooh, so I didn't think about that. If we start using haptic technology and someone grabs your breast in a video game, you might feel that touch in your haptic vest. And so, is that sexual assault? I feel like if you sent it to me and it touched me, then okay, all right. In order to avoid virtual sexual assault, it is most commonly recommended that users simply take off their VR headsets. That is, Bellamere could have just taken off her headset to escape from the virtual sexual assault. Some further argue that virtual sexual assault should not be taken seriously since it's much easier to get away from sexual assault in VR than it is to get away from sexual assault in the real world. Wow. Do you see how we build the parameters that uphold this? Those are the type of thoughts that build the parameters that uphold the patriarchy, that uphold this system of abuse that heavily leans one direction by saying, well, you can get away from it easier in virtual reality than you can in, real life. So it's not that bad. I don't know. However, this solution into virtual sexual assault infringes on others' freedom and autonomy to characterize their own experience within the virtual world. As VR is becoming more mainstream, it is unfair to insist that users flee from the virtual environment whenever things start to get uncomfortable, forgoing the opportunities that come with the virtual world. Furthermore, even though a victim in the virtual world has the ability to resist or escape, they may fail to do so out of fear or hesitancy, as is the case with some victims in the real world. Even if a victim escapes, psychological harm may still last from the virtual experience. More importantly, a victim's ability to remove themselves from the situation does not change the culpability of the perpetrator. Hello, I was like, we spending a whole bunch of time talking about the victim, and I want to talk about the culprit, okay? All right. The moral onus should fall on the perpetrator, not the victim. Some also argue that misconduct, including sexual assault in VR, should be regulated by the providers of VR platforms rather than the criminal justice system. Okay. Okay. Professor Oren Kerr at the UC Berkeley School of Law contended that criminal law generally should take a hands-off approach to virtual misconduct. He asserted, virtual worlds at bottom are computer games, and games are artificial structures better regulated by game administrators than federal or state governments. In fact, when virtual sexual assault has arisen on VR game platforms, the providers of these platforms have tried taking measures to thwart it. In response to Bellamere's article, Quiver developers Henry Jackson and Jonathan Schenker, got the N in the wrong place, Schenker wrote, we've already programmed a setting into the game called Your Personal Bubble so other players' hands disappear if they come close to your face. I love that. We hadn't, though, thought of extending that fading function to the rest of the body. He spent the morning changing the game to extend the personal bubble. Now, when the setting was turned on, other players faded out when they reached for you, no matter their target, chest included. Good job. Okay. I like how that was handled. I love that. Okay. Meta Horizons World has also added a similar pre-protection feature, personal boundary, after the beta tester reported her virtual sexual assault. However, despite the availability of these self-protection features, virtual sexual assault continues to occur without intervention. The beta tester of Horizon Worlds complained, I think what made it worse was even after I reported and eventually blocked the assaulter, the guy in the plaza did and said nothing. He moved himself far across the map as if to say, you're on your own now. Ooh. Okay. I mean, dirtbags do have friends, I guess. All right. So, sexual technology has a big way to go, right? And speaking of that, so yesterday my husband took me to the movies to go see Sinners again, but we went to the one where the chair move and do all the stuff, and I was very disappointed. I understand why, but I was very disappointed that the chair didn't move on the sex scene. I was very, very disappointed that the chair didn't move on the sex scene. Also, this is why you need black people in them spaces, because during the scene when Remick was doing his little thing, the chair was beaten off beat. It was my husband is a producer and an engineer, and he was upset. He said it out loud. The chair is off beat. But again, them people, them developers, that it's not enough of us in those rooms. Okay, it's not enough of us in those rooms. Because it was definitely beaten off beat. But I also felt like, okay, so again, I know that realistically, I wasn't gonna be a part of that sex scene. Okay, I knew that I wasn't, but I bought the chair that was supposed to make me a part of the movie. Well, my husband bought the chair that was supposed to make me a part of the movie, and that damn chair was silent. Not a peep, not a quiver, not a slide to the left, nothing during the sex scene. I was so close. I was so close. But I was really disappointed in that. And yeah, you could have gave me a couple of pumps. You could have gave me something. They didn't give me nothing. I didn't get none of that. So, but it was cool. I want to know what that's like. Like, so when I think about the stuff I want to create, that would be something I want to create. I want to create a chair that lets you kind of go with the sexual experience. Cause you know what I mean? Like, when the person crawl over the person and the other person lean back, like it was the part where him and Mary was, in the they had locked the door, and he was like, "Baby, you drooling," and she was like, "You want some?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!" And then he like leaned back. I wanted the chair to go back too. I want to go back too, but the chair didn't go back. It didn't give it to me. And on all the sex scenes, the seat was quiet. On all the other scenes, and that's also just not a good movie to go. You could go watch it on the big screen. It was great on the big screen, but it's not really a good movie for the chairs. All you was doing, I was just riding down this Mississippi Delta Road in a Model T. The chair was all on the road. Listen, the chair had the highways and the byways down packed, but the sexual experience I didn't get to get. So, if you haven't seen Sinners, definitely go see it. That was our second time seeing it. So it was really good. But so let's talk about the rest of the week. We got a few more minutes here. I gotta get ready to go get my boobs squished for my mammogram. I also have to pay out of pocket for it, and I don't have insurance, so it's like $400. Like, it's just so much money. It's so much money. Like, do I have a bill here? What a bill that's $400? No, I mean, the mortgage is more than that, but we don't even have no other bills that's $400. I'm finna go pay $400 for them to look inside my titty. Anyway, go get your mammograms. It's important. All right. So today was Sex Tech Thursday. So tomorrow is going to be Late Night with Coach Katasha. We'll be here at 9 p.m. Just to kind of chat and hang out. And it's kind of a more lean, laid back type of environment. So, just show up, bring you a glass of wine or, whatever you do. I don't know what people are into these days. We'll just come and, hang out with me, and we could talk about what's going on in the news with sex or whatever we want to talk about. Just we leave the forum open just to touch base and, see what everybody's into, see what everybody's doing. So We usually have classes. Here's our schedule for the week in case you are wanting to stop in for some of the other classes. On Monday, we do sex ed with Coach Katasha, which is going to be our basic sex education classes. I don't like that I'm not in the middle. Sorry, that's my stuff. We do our basic sex education classes. On Tuesday, we do Pleasure Tools Tuesday, where we talk about external tools that you can bring into the bedroom to liven up your sexual experience. On Wednesdays, we do Ask Coach Katasha. Ask Coach Katasha is a live Q&A. We do it Wednesdays at 2 p.m. It's a live Q&A where you can come in, you can bring in your sexual questions, and I will answer them live, and we can kind of work through whatever you got going on, but just making sure that you're getting the correct information for any kind of sexual questions that you may have. Thursdays, of course, are Sex Tech Thursdays. So we are going to talk about different technologies and different advancements in sexuality. And then Fridays are at 9 p.m. It's going to be late night with Coach Katasha. So we have 2 p.m., 12:30 p.m., 2 p.m., 12:30 p.m., and then 9 p.m. Okay. I am actually on Twitch and YouTube, and I believe I'm also streaming on TikTok, but that's just kind of an extra thing because I do have friends over there that I love dearly. But I don't usually be over there. I'm actually on a social media um, block right now. So if you've been sending me messages, I haven't been checking them unless they have to do with stuff. And you know people enough. Sometimes I don't even click on them because I'm like, I know you don't want nothing. I know you don't want nothing. And my friends do not want me talking to you if you don't want nothing. So that's going to be our schedule. So we will be here tomorrow at 9 p.m. I appreciate all of you for showing up. If you have any questions or, have something else that you would like to add, or if you have used virtual or augmented reality for sex, I would love to hear about it. Please feel free to email me at expressionofrepression@gmail.com or Coach Katasha at expressionofrepression.com. I would love to hear from you. If you do have any other questions or anything like that, you can send those there as well. And I will bring them back to the stream on Wednesday, and I will answer them live so you can have an opportunity to get an answer to your question and get a follow-up if you need, if the information is just a little bit off or you have something else you want to add. So that's going to be our schedule. That's our show for today.